Let's jump into the most trending players on Sleeper Fantasy, and then we'll be talking about our waiver wire additions. If you have any questions, whether that be ad drop, whether that be start sit, whether that be trade questions, or DFS stuff for tonight, definitely drop it below. Obviously, if you are not yet, do sign up for Underdog Fantasy. You can scan the QR code here or go to underdogfantasy.com, get the Underdog Fantasy app, and use the promo code Flory. You get a $1,000 deposit bonus, 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Lots of promos every single day in September. There is a new promo on Underdog. They're all good. I believe there's a promo token today that you can use for a big profit boost. So definitely go do that. You'll get a pick'em promo for signing up. Again, you get the deposit bonus on top of that when you use promo code Flurry. You support the show. It's a win all around. You can do live drafts over there. You can do pick'em contests, higher, lower on many players. Lots of money to be made. Trust me. But yeah, let's jump into Sleeper Fantasy. Most trending players. Okay, number one, not a surprise whatsoever, and this should be correct. Like, very rarely do we find the most trending players to be where I'm like, yeah, that should be the guy. But right now it's Jauan Jennings. Obviously, monstrous day. And for all the shit that Brock Purdy gets from everyone, including myself, the biggest criticism is that Brock Purdy doesn't play well when he doesn't have his full group of weapons. Purdy played damn good. That was not his fault for the loss. That defense, I don't know what the hell was going on there. But Brock Purdy played well, and a big reason for that was Jauan Jennings. It was certainly not Brandon Ayuk. Jauan Jennings, 175 yards, 3 touchdowns, owned in 44% of Sleeper Fantasy leagues right now. And he is the most trending pickup on Sleeper, over 700,000 pickups and counting. I don't know if Deebo Samuel will be back next week. He'll certainly be pushing to return, but I'm not sure if he will be able to get it. Who do the 49ers play? They play the Patriots. So theoretically, not a game that Deebo needs to come back for, especially with 2 divisional games right after that. I mean, Patriots, this is kind of a mini bye, even though they're coming off back-to-back losses. They need this win, but they should be able to beat the Patriots. Then they have the Cardinals, Seahawks, Chiefs, Cowboys before their bye week. That is a gauntlet. So Deebo needs to get healthy. Obviously, they need George Kittle healthy as well. And Jauan Jennings is the only true trustworthy play, I think, next week. He's been playing well all season, so I like that. Apologies, little cold here, but we fight through. Number 2 most trending player on Sleeper Fantasy, we got Cole Kmet for the Bears, finally coming alive. Breakout performance is what Sleeper says via Roto-Baller, and that's true. He is dropped by a ton of leagues. Obviously, a super talented guy, but Bears offense has been playing bad. And then on top of the Bears offense playing bad, he is, down the totem pole. 6 combined targets the first 2 weeks, 11 targets last week, or this week rather. Week 3, we are still in week 3. 10 catches, 97 yards, and a touchdown. Will that be his best performance of the season? Almost definitely yes. However, with all of the tight end injuries, tight ends just not performing well, Cole Kmet is certainly a guy that you should and could turn to pick up. Almost 250,000 pickups rostered in 47% of Sleeper Fantasy leagues right now. That makes sense. Number 3, Jalen Naylor. Jordan Addison continues to be out. He has played well on limited targets, and that's what I'll say. I mean, touchdown 3 straight weeks to start the season, 9 total targets across that time. So is this sustainable? Absolutely not. Is he someone you can pick up? I suppose in a deep league, you can go after him, but rostered in 22% of leagues, he's not a guy I'm rushing to pick up. I don't really care. He plays the Packers this week, which could be okay. And then he plays the Jets, and then he has a bye. So maybe you start him this upcoming week. I don't think I would. Number 4, this is very interesting. I don't necessarily disagree with this, but number 4 most picked up player on Sleeper Fantasy is the Minnesota Vikings defense. They have been great. We know Brian Flores wants to blitz on first down, And then second down, he's just going to blitz. And then third down, bring it back with another blitz. And teams have been baffled. Even good, like 3 good coaches. Just talking head coaches. I mean, we're talking about Dayball. He's been there, done that, knows offense. Giants personnel. So that's what I chalked it up to that. Vikings had 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, and a touchdown. Then the Niners, 6 sacks, forced fumble, interception, destroyed them. And then the Texans this week, I mean, the Texans were baffled. They couldn't handle the blitz. They couldn't figure it out. 5 sacks, 2 interceptions. Good for the Vikings defense. They are playing very, very well. They are flying around. They are pretty healthy for the most part, which is a very big deal. And yeah, they are going to continue to do their thing this week. Sounds like they're probably going to get to face Jordan Love, which is a much, 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 much safer option for the Vikings. Like if I'm the Viking, I'm not picking up the Vikings if Malik Willis is there because I don't think it's going to be a ton of sacks. I don't think it's going to be interceptions. But Jordan Love, we know he's chronically inaccurate. There's a chance that knee is not 100% healthy. So if the Vikings are bringing the blitz, maybe they get him. So I do not hate that. They're rostered in 16% of sleeper fantasy leagues. They're the 4th most picked up player on the platform, 158,000 pickups. I like that. And the number 5, a player playing tonight, Brenton Strange, second-year player, tight end for the Jaguars. Last week, Evan Engram got hurt pregame, I do believe. I don't think it was the day before. I think it was actually pregame. So he was out. Brenton Strange, who is a rookie who is really good. Like he had a lot of praise coming out of college. He ended up getting 3 catches for 65 yards, 6 targets, though. That was what I was impressed by. He plays tonight. Evan Engram out again. He plays the Bills. We'll see how well the Bills cover him. I believe they've been doing pretty well against tight ends. Strangely enough, and again, someone who I've criticized plenty, Damar Hamlin. He's been playing some of those tight ends. He's been playing them well. So Brenton Strange, definitely a DFS play tonight. Definitely a tight end play for a lot of people tonight. Picked up in 138,000 leagues, rostered in 35%. And, that's just a pickup streaming option is what it is. Before we get to the most drop players, go Bills. Is it time to panic on Rachaad White? Kinda, yeah. Like he's been inefficient running the football. That's not just this year. Last year he's inefficient as well. Add in the groin injury. Add in Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving, I think no doubt is the better runner. I don't think that's even close at this current moment, whether that's because of the injury or something else. He's just more decisive. That's why he's better. But Rachaad White he's the receiving back. I don't think Bucky Irving's going to push him for that. So is it time to panic on Rachaad White? Yes, but what are you going to do about it? I don't think you can trade him. I don't see any way anyone trades for Rachaad White at this current moment. If you can sell him for high-end RB2 value, I think do that. But otherwise, I think we are going to start seeing a pretty close to a 50-50 split over the next few weeks. I think Bucky Irving's going to continue to increase his role. I know they came out today and talked about that as well. He's earned more carries, and rightfully so. I mean, he's the only one running with a purpose at this current moment. One cut and go. He is a power runner. He puts his head down and goes. And that's better for this offense at this current moment because, I mean, this team, I love Baker, and I think he's playing extremely well, and I think he's a good quarterback. But if you get Baker and this type of offense behind the chains, it just doesn't work. You have to stay on schedule. So Bucky Irving helps you stay on schedule. Rachaad White's still going to be a receiving guy. That groin injury is just going to linger. I mean, that's just what groin injuries do, which sucks. I think they're both flex values going forward. So I'm panicking, but I don't think you can sell him. You're just kind of stuck. Michael, would you trade Najee and Brian Thomas for Josh Jacobs? I think yes. It depends on how good you are at wide receiver. Because I don't hate Thomas. I think he's decent and he has a chance to become a consistent player in this offense just because no one's fucking stepping up. So if the passing offense gets figured out whatsoever, I'm not a Trevor Lawrence guy, never have been. I love the fact that he's struggling just because I feel a little bit justified. I say this and then he'll go out and pass for 450 tonight or something. But there's no doubt that the Jags want him to be a consistent part of this offense. It's not surprising if he completely pushes Gabe Davis out of the way. So I like him. If your wide receiver situation is shaky whatsoever, I think I would keep him. But Najee isn't super efficient. Josh Jacobs has a ton of value or volume and value. Jacobs is going to break down or they have to limit his production though. So I think Josh Jacobs is also a sell high candidate. I'll say that as well. I think he's a sell high guy. If I'm a Jacobs owner, I would try to sell high. But in that situation, I don't mind buying him because I think he's an obvious upgrade for you. And then Bills, are we still rolling Anthony Richardson out or should we stream a quarterback? Who do the Colts play next week? That is the question. Let's see. Richardson plays the Steelers at home. I think he might be streaming a quarterback next week. I don't want to play Anthony Richardson against the Steelers. Then he gets the Jags, Titans, Dolphins, Texans, Vikings, not easy. Bills, Jets, not easy. I think you stream in the obvious matchups. I think Anthony Richardson gets better. We're talking about a guy who just completed, I think I'm correct in this, he completed his 20th game starting as a quarterback. I'm not saying as an NFL quarterback. You know, like he barely played in college. Like he doesn't have any experience. So he's still figuring it out. On top of that, the team's not very good. He just got Josh Downs back. Josh Downs should grow in a role, and he should make the quarterback's life a lot easier. Josh Downs is a chain mover. He should allow Anthony Richardson to get into a rhythm. So I think he helps. Anthony Richardson's also going through a thing where it is like his coaching and everybody else is saying, Anthony Richardson, do not run. Do not put your body on the line. Do not go and do the only thing you've ever been successful at. And then his offensive line gets a ton of people coming at him, and he's hearing these voices in his head saying, don't run. So now he's trying to make plays from the pocket. And it just doesn't work. Like he has all these conflicting information coming at him, and he's not able to play his brand of football, which is an experienced brand of football to begin with, but he's also not playing natural. He's not playing loose. He's overthinking everything, which comes with a rookie quarterback, which he is a rookie quarterback and an inexperienced rookie on top of that. He will get better. He 100% will get better. But next week against the Steelers, I'm probably streaming. He is kind of in a situation where you probably have to see it before you trust it again, right? Because I guess I have his performances up. He doesn't have a good one yet. Week 1 was fine, but he had 27 points, which is good. 56 rushing yards and a rushing touchdowns. You know, we have to see him do that again before we think that's what he's going to be doing, because he hasn't been doing that. And then his passing's been bad, obviously. So stash him. Don't drop him. But stream next week. That's what I would do. And I'll talk to you about some quarterbacks I think I would pick up in a second. But first, the most trending down players on Sleeper Fantasy. Number 1 is the Las Vegas Raiders defense. Dropped in over 100,000 leagues. Obviously, a lot of people picked them up thinking, hey, stream them against the Panthers. If you listened to me whatsoever last week, you did not do that because, you know, at first I said, yes, do it. They made the switch to Andy Dalton. I said, Andy Dalton's going to pass for 300. Like, this guy's going to go crazy. He did exactly that. So hopefully you avoided that situation by listening to this show. And if not, tune in future weeks. Obviously, Mondays we're live, not next Monday. Wednesday nights we're live. Thursday nights we're live. And we'll do other live shows if you request it. If there's topics that you want to see, we will definitely do that. But yeah, we give you some good information here. Number 2 most trending down player, Demarcus Robinson. He was a trendy pickup. Obviously, Rams down their top 2 guys. He played 93% of the snaps. He's played 92+% of the snaps all 3 weeks. But I mean, the number 1 receiver is going to get taken away by the 49ers anyway. So 1 catch for 32-yard performance is not surprising. Should he be the most dropped player or second most dropped? No. Next week he plays the Bears. He'll probably have a good game against the Bears. A lot of people do. Not the Colts. Number 3, Deontay Foreman. After a 14 carry performance that was nothing but confusing to me and seemingly everybody, he had 2 carries this week. No targets, 2 carries, 5 yards. I don't know what the Browns are doing. Number 4, Ezekiel Elliott. I get it. I don't know if I would be dropping him, but I get it. 19% of the snaps this past week, 3 carries, 6 yards, 2 targets, 1 catch for 6 yards. Horrible performance. And the worst part about Ezekiel Elliott's performance is that he's getting outplayed. It's not like the Cowboys don't have any value at running back. Like Rico Dowdle's outperforming him. With how bad Zeke has looked, it feels like a matter of time until Dalvin Cook, gets elevated. We'll see. I see your question, Bigums. Get there in 1 second. After we say the 5th most dropped player is Adonai Mitchell, rookie for the Colts. Only 13% of the snaps. I don't know why they would take him off the field. Obviously, Josh Downs comes back, so somebody has to come off the field. I think Adonai Mitchell has more upside than Alec Pierce. I think Alec Pierce is a good player. I was disappointed. I was a big Alec Pierce believer. Rookie year, still tried to believe. Second year, and now this year he's finally popping off that 3rd-year bump, I guess. But Adonai Mitchell's too good of a player to be off the field for 87% of the snaps. So Colts need to figure out a balance there. I get why he is droppable. For Dynasty, obviously hold on strong because I think he's good. Bigums, trade Neighbors for Bijan PPR thoughts. Fuck yeah. Absolutely. I don't think Neighbors is a fluke. I think he is legit. I think he's very good, but it's just position scarcity. There's very few running backs with top-end volume. There's very few running backs with top-end talent, and Bijan Robinson has both of those. Scored this week, finally. He should get in the end zone a little bit more. Love Neighbors, but assuming you wouldn't be screwed at wide receiver, I like that quite a bit. And I think that's a fair trade too. Because if I'm a Bijan owner, he hasn't been as good as I want him to be. Maybe they're stacked at running back. I think Neighbors is a borderline wide receiver 1 every week with that volume, that talent. So yeah, love all of that. Keep asking questions. Let's talk about, though, some week 4 fantasy football waiver wire pickups. Some guys I just jotted down while I worked today. And we got some injury updates for some of them as well. Let's start with quarterback. Let's start with the one I do have an injury update for. So we got Sam Darnold. He is still under-owned drastically. As we go, maybe I'll just type these guys into Sleeper just so I can tell you the current, bring that up, current ownership. So Sam Darnold ownership, 38% of Sleeper fantasy leagues. Definitely should be more. Playing the Packers this week. Packers have a decent defense. They have looked better because of their opponents, but it's still an okay defense. Sam Darnold got his knee looked at. MRI just looks like a bruise, so no structural damage. He'll play this week. But the Packers are going to test him. They're going to send the house. They will see how good he can move. Same thing with the Vikings. They're going to send the house on Jordan Love, see how good he can move. So this game could be an absolutely sloppy one with bad quarterback play, or Sam Darnold could light up the Packers. We shall see. But he has been playing too good not to pick up. He has been very solid. Number 2, Andy Dalton. We saw what Andy Dalton did. Andy Dalton cooked with the Panthers. Let's manage expectations a little bit. He doesn't get to play the Raiders every single week, but I thought he looked good. The whole offense looked much better. Adam Thielen gets hurt. That sucks. That's one of his best friends, IRL. But Deontay Johnson looked better. Again, matchup based was much better for him. But they got talent at wide receiver. They keep drafting wide receivers. And then Chuba Hubbard can catch the ball out of the backfield. Not too bad. Andy Dalton, if you were streaming quarterbacks, you can do much worse. Number 3, Justin Fields. He's okay. He is going to use his legs a little bit more coming up, I think. But overall, he's been good. He's been good. He's been protecting the football. First interception thrown was this week. So 1 in 3 weeks doesn't kill you. I like him. And then a deep league pickup. If you are desperate at quarterback, go ahead and pick up Tyler Huntley. Skylar Thompson, I think that experiment's done. We will see if the Dolphins trade for anybody else, but they picked up Tyler Huntley off of a practice squad last week. And, he's going to have to learn the system and stuff. But if he gets put into the lineup for the Dolphins, there's a chance he's a very good fantasy quarterback. Obviously, he has the legs. He can run a little bit. And he's got the arm. I think he can get the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So he is a speculative pickup. But if he gets named the starter, I would feel comfortable. Honestly, if he's a starter, I think I feel comfortable playing him over Anthony Richardson this week. Anthony Richardson has the Steelers, so bad matchup on top of it. But I like that for Tyler Huntley. Pick him up. Could be an absolutely nothing pickup. He may not be the QB1, but he certainly should be if the roster stays the same. Running backs. Number 1, Bucky Irving earned more carries is what was said today. We've already had a question from you guys about Bucky Irving and Rachaad White. And yeah, he's been really good. I mean, a couple weeks ago, I said you definitely need to pick him up. If you're a Rachaad White owner, you need to have him. I got a really cool comment today on one of the videos saying my take aged poorly that I said, Bucky, you should pick up Bucky Irving and drop Chuba Hubbard. You should pick up J.K. Dobbins and drop Chuba Hubbard. They said that take aged poorly. Still waiting for a response. I'm not sure what they mean by that because it seems like that take's only gotten better, but that's fine. Bucky Irving needs to be owned. He's a flex value going forward. If Rachaad White is out whatsoever, he's already hurt. So he could definitely get hurt worse. They could pull him out. Bucky Irving would be a solid RB2 at that point. He's not going to do much as a receiver, but he could certainly fall into the end zone. Tampa Bay's offense is good enough to get them plenty of red zone trips. So I like Bucky Irving. Braylon Allen, I'm a Wisconsin Badger fan. I have known Braylon Allen for a long time. So everything that everyone's getting introduced to is no surprise to me. I can tell you that much. He is very good. He is much like every Wisconsin running back of all time to come into the end zone. Everyone talks about how they have surprisingly good hands. Yeah, it's not that he can't catch. It's just the offense he played in, right? So big, strong, fast. Who's that sound like? I'm not comparing him 1-to-1, but it certainly sounds like Derrick Henry a little bit, eh? He's going to be good. He is the perfect handcuff because as standalone value, he has flex value. And if Breece Hall goes down, gets hurt, Braylon Allen's a borderline RB1. So definitely needs to be owned across all leagues. Emmanuel Wilson, he is the backup for Green Bay. I talked about entering this week, Josh Jacobs was on track for 425 touches this year. He is going to either break down or the Packers are going to limit his touches. The rookie that they drafted second round, Marshawn Lloyd, he is put on IR, so he's out a minimum of 3 more weeks with that hamstring injury. Emmanuel Wilson's a guy who's been talented. He's looked really good in the preseason the past couple of years for the Packers. And for whatever the reason, Green Bay's just not been willing to use him. That changed this week. They used him a bit more. He looked really good. And I think they are finally a little bit more comfortable managing the workload between the running backs there. And if they don't, then I think it's only sooner or later Wilson will be the starter because Josh Jacobs will be hurt. And then the third one I wrote down is Cam Akers. If Joe Mixon continues to be out, if Dameon Pierce continues to be out, then I like Cam Akers. If those two things are not true, then I probably don't like Cam Akers. If you're desperate, 16-team league, if for whatever reason Cam Akers is not owned or something like that, or if you are a Joe Mixon owner, might as well go pick him up. Go Bills 0-3. My team is Richardson, David Montgomery, Rashad White, Cam Akers, Najee Harris, Austin Eckler, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra, Cup, Jaden Reed, Jerry Jeudy, Dalton Kincaid. What do you recommend? Yeah, you have some running back issues. I would get a different quarterback for this week. I would do the trade that you talked about before. Oh no, it wasn't you talking about that trade. I wouldn't mind a trade similar to the one Michael said before. I don't hate packaging Najee Harris and somebody to upgrade. Again, I don't think you can trade Rashad White for anything worthwhile at this current moment. I would maybe target the Joe Mixon owner with Cam Akers. Hopefully the Joe Mixon owner is hurting at running back without Mixon in the lineup. And you could offer them like Akers and Najee, Akers and Eckler. See how if Eckler has a great game tonight, certainly sell high. Package a couple guys together and upgrade either RB1, either QB1, or tight end 1. Dalton Kincaid, I think, is going to get better than what he has shown. Bills are going to run a lot of 12 personnel, so he'll be on the field with Dawson Knox. They will move Kincaid around a lot. Obviously, the go-to weapon right now is Khalil Shakir. He's the third down chain mover as well. And Keon Coleman, I think, is going to get more involved than last week. Last week, obviously, he was involved pretty much not at all. But that game was a fluke, just fully. Like, you can't really take much away from that Bills-Dolphins game. But I think Kincaid's going to get better. However, if you could trade for a legit tight end one, I don't hate that. But yeah. Cup, he's still probably a month out. You just got to wait, I think. Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, both great. If you want to trade Amon-Ra and get a legit wide receiver 2 and a legit upgrade at running back, that's fine, I think. But yeah, you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit. Sacrifice depth for top-end talent would be my recommendation. You're not going to win any week with bench points. Not a single one. Okay, wide receivers to pick up. Number 1, talked about it, most trending player and sleeper right now is Jauan Jennings. Certainly the number 1 pickup, probably across most fantasy leagues this week. Hat trick, played extremely well. Debo could certainly be out against the Patriots, so Jauan Jennings needs to be owned. Number 2, and I should say these aren't necessarily in any order, but Jauan Jennings is the number 1 guy. Second one I do have is Darnell Mooney. He's a guy who I was very high on coming into this year, and I thought he's looked really good the past 2 games. He's electric. He is a lot more exciting, a lot more quick, a lot more shifty than Drake London. Drake London's still going to draw that top coverage. Darnell Mooney gets secondary coverage, talking secondary corner, and he has a good quarterback throwing to him. Finally, kind of the same player. Kirk Cousins isn't great, but he is certainly an upgrade over anything Darnell Mooney's ever had. So I like him. I think he can grow into becoming a trustworthy wide receiver 3. Same thing with Demario Douglas. Patriots finally got their best receiver involved this past week, and maybe that continues. Hopefully that continues because he's by far their best wide receiver. I don't know why he wasn't involved previously. Number 4, Wan'Dale Robinson. We know Neighbors is the number 1 guy there. Robinson's getting, again, not the best corner. He gets moved around, and he's extremely talented, and he still gets plenty of targets as well. He's been good. Next, Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs is the number 1 receiver in the offense, not necessarily the number 1 fantasy receiver, but he's the number 1 receiver. Once the offense becomes more, once they open it back up, when Jordan Love is back, Romeo Doubs is going to see his value again. Then we got Mike Williams. Mike Williams is playing snaps. He's looking good. He's seemingly figuring out that back shoulder throw with Aaron Rodgers. And if Aaron Rodgers is the master of the back shoulder, that's one of the reasons why he is so incredibly good, because he knows where to put it, and his receivers are always on the same page as him. If Mike Williams is on the same page as him for the back shoulder throw, it's going to be unstoppable. Rodgers has never had anybody as physically gifted as Mike Williams to be able to do that. And it's going to be an absolute nightmare, especially in the red zone. Mike Williams, starting as soon as maybe this week, you can trust him as, I'll say, a wide receiver 4 this week. But he has the potential to keep growing. I like him. And then we got Quentin Johnston, caught another touchdown this week. I don't know how trustworthy that's going to be. I think people are overvaluing him at the current moment, but certainly worth a speculative add in deeper leagues. I'm not ready to trust it, but maybe you need it. And then finally, actually, no, I got defenses as well. But let's go with tight ends. Cole Kmet, we talked about him previously, coming out party for the Bears a little bit. The Bears offense finally looks decent, and Cole Kmet was a big beneficiary of that. Easier throw for the rookie. They definitely should be using Kmet a lot more often. Tyler Conklin's a guy we hyped up all off season. He had his coming out party on Thursday Night Football with Aaron Rodgers. He's a guy Rodgers absolutely loves off the field, and Rodgers trusts. Trust is the number one thing with Aaron Rodgers, and if Tyler Conklin is now getting targets, I think that's going to be consistent, not to the degree that we saw on Thursday, but I think Tyler Conklin is more than a serviceable tight end option for you going forward. We got Brock Wright as number 3. He is the handcuff, I suppose you can say, to Sam Laporta. Laporta hurt his ankle. He ended up coming back into the game, but then left again, I do believe. So if Laporta misses any time, I think Brock Wright is the guy that benefits. And, if you're going to pick up and stream a tight end, I think you may as well pick up the guy who's replacing your hurt tight end. He had a decent game. He's done it before under Dan Campbell in Detroit, and he will do it once again. Number 4, Tucker Kraft. He continues to play the majority of the tight end snaps for the Packers. He has been a fantastic blocker for the Packers, so he's an every down type of guy. And if Jordan Love comes back, again, the offense opens back up, and Tucker Kraft will start to see some targets. This is a deep league thing. I don't think it's going to be consistent, but that's something you can do. And then finally, 2 guys playing tonight, so we will see how they are used. I am confident in Zach Ertz's role. I think you can pick up Zach Ertz and start him pretty much any week. So I feel confident there, assuming he doesn't get hurt tonight. And then Mike Gesicki, he has been good. He's a little bit banged up, but he has been good. T. Higgins returns tonight, so we'll see how Gesicki's role is. If it's still fine, then he is certainly a pickup because he is not very owned, So that's an interesting one. And then finally, defenses that you can stream, 2 of them being in the same game. Not necessarily a game you want to watch this week. Well, kind of depends. If you like shit shows, the Titans play the Dolphins. Either direction, you can pick them up. Tennessee, Miami, both not really owned. Miami, we'll see who's at quarterback, and the offensive line isn't very good. For the Titans, Will Levis is a complete doofus. So I think you can pick up both of those guys. And then the Eagles play at Tampa. Tampa is hurting with injuries right now, and Philly can certainly dominate the line of scrimmage and fuck everything up for the Titans. So I like those 3 defensive streamers. Don't really have to overthink it.